Hi friends, hope you are all doing well. Welcome back to our CISA video series. Today we will discuss on Var versus Dynamic. So let's get started. Var and Dynamic are both used to handle variables whose type is not explicitly specified but they behave quite differently. So Var and Dynamic we will use Var and Dynamic whenever the type is not declared explicitly or not specified explicitly. In that case we are using var and dynamic. So let's open Visual Studio and discuss one by one with example. Var compile time type resolution. The type of var is determined at compile time. So let's start with one example. Var v. Previously, how to declare a variable int I is equal to 10. So whenever we are trying to declare a variable of integer type, we will predefine with a, or we will write int then I then 10. In that case we can say this I is a integer type variable, but var we are not sure what is the type of this v. So var and dynamic both are used when the type of the variable is not specified implicitly. In this case we have implicitly specified the type of this I as int. So I is a type of integer, but we don't know what is the type of this v. So how we'll specify, or how the compiler will know what type of this b is? By assigning a value. B is 10. But var b we cannot write like this, var b. What it is saying, the error is saying implicitly typed variables must be initialized. So we have to initialize the value here. We must be give the value here, v is equal to 10. Like this we can declare a var variable. Now this b is type of what? B is a integer. We can see int v, local variable int v. So here after assigning a value to this v, the compiler will decide this is a integer value, as this v is holding a integer value, so this v is a integer. Like this also there is another keyword called dynamic, which can be used to declare variable without explicitly specifying the variable. So here also we don't know if it is a integer, string, anything, but after assigning the value to this d, then only this will be decided. So you can see d is you can see d is null here, and d is variable, or d's type is also not mentioned here. Here we can see v is what? V is integer, but here d is showing as dynamic. Still it is not showing it is an integer or string or whatever the value type. Why? What is the then? There is the major difference between var and dynamic is this is decided at compile time and this is decided at runtime. So whenever we will run this program, then only the d value will be decided, as dynamic is decided at runtime. So here b is integer, or here d is still it is showing as dynamic. So let's run and watch like dynamic what it is showing. Okay. See, here it is showing as null, but after going to the next, here it is showing d is 11 or d is 11. So this is decided at runtime, but var is decided at compile time. That is the major difference between our var and dynamic. Both are used to handle variables whose type is not explicitly specified, but they behave quite differently. This is the different. So compile time resolution, the type of var is determined at compile time, whereas runtime, the type of dynamic is determined at runtime, whatever we have seen now in our example. After initializing, the variable has a fixed type and cannot change. Static typing, meaning whenever, let's comment this out, whenever we assign a integer value to this b, now this b is converted, or the b is a integer value. Now we cannot assign a string value to this integer. Let's say anything, a b c, anything we are trying to assign to this b variable, but it is not possible. How or why? Because b is integer and we cannot assign a string value to a integer, that it is saying. This is static type. Next, it is saying performance. Since the type is determined at compile time, performance will be better. So, during like run will be faster because it will be decided at runtime. So, performance will be better. IntelliSense support. So, Visual Studio or any IDE, it will support for var, because var is decided at runtime. So, the error is showing here because it is compile time declaration, and ABC is a string we cannot assign to this variable. That's why IntelliSense support is there, but in case of dynamic there is no IntelliSense support because it is decided at runtime. So during runtime there is no IntelliSense support. Okay, so we can comment this out now. Okay, so it allows type changes and operations without compile time checking. Another major error here, or major difference here, in case of var we cannot assign a string value to this b because it is already integer, but in case of dynamic we can do that. How we can do that? Let's say d is equal to 11. Now again I want to assign this a b c to this d value, and we will print this d, will not get any error. Let's see, it will print what? It will print abc, whatever we have written here, abc. So whatever the last value we have assigned to this dynamic value, that will be the final value for this dynamic d. So flexible, it allows type changes and operation without compile time checking. So there is no compile time checking as it is decided at runtime. So no IntelliSense support, since type is unknown at compile time, there is no IntelliSense. Potential runtime error, type mismatch and invalid operation are not checked until execution. So how this runtime error will come, we will see by discussing one example. So we'll discuss that example. Dynamic. Okay, what is the key difference? Difference is var is compile time, yeah, dynamic is runtime. Type safety, strongly typed. As it is strongly typed, we cannot change the type of the value. This is weakly typed. Performance is faster. This is slower as runtime checks, and IntelliSense support is there for var, but there is no IntelliSense support for dynamic. Caught at compile time. If any error will be there for var, it will come at compile time before running the application. But in case of dynamic, the error will be caught at runtime. That is the major difference between var and dynamic. And var and dynamic are very important for interview. So what is the compile? What we have the potential runtime error. What kind of runtime error will can become using dynamic variables in C#. So using dynamic variables in C# can be powerful, but they come with some risk. Since type checking happens at runtime rather than compile time, we might run into unexpected errors. Here are some common runtime errors. Method not found. If we call a method that doesn't exist on the actual runtime type, then we will get an error. See, this is one dynamic I have declared one obj dynamic obj hello and obj dot method one. There is no such method one in whole program, but in case of dynamic, as it is a runtime, all these things are will check at runtime. So compiler will not know like if there is any method one will be there inside our program or in the scope of this obj or not. So the error will come at runtime. See, string does not contain a definition for method 1. So there is no such method 1 for this string obj. So this is a risk, or we can say we can got this common runtime error method not found. But in case of var, we can say this type of what error will not come, because the compiler will check if the method 1 is exist for this obj or not, and it will check there is no obj no method 1 will be present for obj. Whatever the string method, predefined string method will be there, that will show in the IntelliSense. You can see there are many methods for this obj as obj is a string. Okay, so compiler will show the error if any method is not found for that particular variable. That is one case. Another one is property or field not found. If we try to access a property or field that does not exist, it will fail. Let's say dynamic person new name equal to John, and here we have one property that is name and the value will be John, but we are trying to access a property called age which is not there in our person variable. So it will definitely throw an error. See, does not contain a definition for age. So in case of var, it will not show that error, because let's check for var as well. It will show the error dynamic in the compile time. See, does not contain a definition for age. So that is the difference between dynamic and var variable. Another thing, incorrect typecasting. If we cast a dynamic value incorrectly, it will cause an error. How? Let's say we have declared one dynamic variable num and the value will be 1 2 3 and that is a string, and here we are trying to typecast that num value to int, then assigning that value to this value variable which is a integer type. Let's check if it is working or not. Cannot convert type string to int. So we cannot directly convert this string to int directly. There is other ways we can convert a string to integer, then we can assign to this integer variable, but directly we cannot do like this. So this if we'll declare this as var, it will throw an error, cannot convert type string to int. So compiler will give an error, this is not possible, so we can rectify it, or we can try in another way like this. How we can convert a string value to integer, or how we can typecast a string to integer. Here is the way: var num 1 2 3, then in value int dot parse num. We can use int dot parse if there is a the num is a possible integer. If it is containing any string and int mixed value, then it is not possible. In that case we can use try parse, and we can check this if it is a true or false. If the value is true, then it is converted successfully, or it is parsed successfully, or it is typecast successfully. If it is false, then the typecast is fail. That is Another that is not in like var versus dynamic example, but I am showing you how we can convert a value, or we can typecast a string to int. This is the way we can do. You can try in your Visual Studio. So this is dynamic. So everything is decided at runtime. So compiler will not throw any error. We will get that error at runtime only. That is a risk. Invalid operation. If the actual type does not support certain operation, we will get an error. Let's say I have declared one dynamic num, which is containing the value hello, which is a string, and here I am trying to add 5 into that string, and trying to keep that value into this integer variable result. So is that possible? No, it is not possible. In case of var, it will throw an error, convert string to int. But in case of dynamic, it will not throw any error, because still now this norm, like it is unknown, like what type of that norm is. So the compiler will not know. It will only decided on runtime. See, cannot implicitly convert string to int. So same error it will show at runtime, and in case of var, it will throw at compile time. Okay, that is one risk by for using dynamic. Then missing indexer. If a dynamic object does not support indexing, an error occurs. Let's say I have declared another dynamic variable, that is obj, which is containing a integer value 42, and here I am trying to print obj index value 0. As integer, for integer there is no index value, but here I am trying to access the index value 0, which is not possible. If I'll try for this var, it will throw the cannot apply indexing of type int. But in case of dynamic, as it will be decided at runtime, if what is the object obj type, then how it will know, like if it is a array, it is a integer, it is a string. So the compiler will not know obj is what type of value. So it will allow everything only runtime. We can see cannot apply indexing to an expression of type int. So that is the major difference between our var and dynamic. Var everything will be decided at compile time. Dynamic everything will be decided at runtime. So whatever the compile time error we are not able to see for dynamic, it will only decided at runtime. So what to prefer when? Prefer var when type safety is crucial. So whenever you are giving priority to type safety, that time we can use var. It helps catch error at compile time rather than runtime. Use dynamic cautiously. So if you are using dynamic, so be cautious, since it skips compile time check. It can lead to unexpected runtime errors. Or we can mix both. In some scenario, using both strategically provides flexibility while maintaining safety where needed. That is all about our var versus dynamic. I hope you found this session helpful and informative. Please check the description below for detailed notes. Thank you for watching, and please make sure to like, comment and subscribe for more C# tutorials. See you in the next video.